ever considered that artificial intelligence could actually help us be more human? When I was growing up, our town was so small that we celebrated when we got our first traffic light. By the time I finished school, I craved something bigger to go see and taste the world. I started collecting experiences and places all over that would make up the kaleidoscope of who I am. One of those very special places is a large golden Buddha statue that sits in a park in New Delhi, India. The Dalai Lama consecrated this statue on the day my first child was born, because that day also happened to be World Peace Day. Just before giving birth, I'd gone to a live talk the Dalai Lama had given in Delhi. Peace, he said, was only possible with empathy for others. Peace was always something I wanted to strive for, but empathy? I remember thinking, I can hardly hold on to my own soap in the shower most days. How will I ever hold on to a concept as slippery as empathy? My career would end up taking me all around the globe, working on 5 continents over 3 decades. One day while I was working in educational leadership in Guatemala, I got an unexpected phone call from my mom with news from home. Before that, I could have never imagined doing it, but I made the decision to move back home. As I was unpacking, I came across a box marked India in all caps. Right on top were stacks of news headlines I'd saved during my time there. They read things like race riots continue, global warming talks collapse, and terrorists attack. These were the headlines from over 2 decades ago. But I look and see my news feed today, and it reads, "We're now more divided than any other time in history, as polarized as ever." And I realize that these headlines from back then are just like what we see today, but our ability to empathize has definitely gotten worse. So much so that researchers from Northwestern and Duke universities have said as humans, we are officially empathy deficit. Without empathy, people can't make and keep meaningful social connections. They have higher levels of stress and burnout. They're more likely to criticize and be vindictive. No wonder we're increasingly ready to turn on each other. We've become very good at separating ourselves into us and them. But thankfully, we also know that empathy is an ability. It can be learned and developed. We can build the bridge. But how is the question? As a global educational leader and professional development designer, I've been trained to manage polarities, meaning that within our organizations and businesses, we can hold opposing views in a conversation, keep them separated and managed. But despite there being so many tools in the world to dialogue about issues, we're not getting closer to real solutions. We're spending so much time managing the poles that we're not honoring the diverse perspectives or helping empathy develop. So I thought there must be a missing ingredient. Right around this time, I was at a large international conference. Many of us were practicing a concept made known by the Harvard School of Education. That is when we make thinking visible, learning and insight are enhanced. But it's also been found that groups who use visual representations, that is, symbols to represent the pieces of their conversation when they come together to discuss a problem, have a significant increase in their ability to reach consensus. And their decision-making is 5 times faster. So I had a light bulb moment. It's time to start thinking about data visualization differently. We could visualize our differing opinions. Beyond polarities, our multitude of experience and perspective could come together. Do you know that saying that goes, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear? Just as I was thinking this, an old friend and colleague posted about the beautiful art he was creating using artificial intelligence. In a moment, I realized the technology to bring people together around ideas beyond just talking was at our fingertips. Using both the science of how we develop understanding and AI, we created a process and a framework to bring people together around the topics that make us uniquely human. We thought, what if we could get the most diverse perspectives around one table and deepen our understanding together? We very deliberately started holding virtual meetings with people from all walks of life, from all over the world, with a purpose to discover new insights by visualizing our conversations in real time. What we're experimenting with is the cross-pollination of multiple AI engines at once. Across these, the AI pulls out both the commonalities and the paradoxes in our conversations. It takes into account the context and the emotional undertones and synthesizes the variety of perspectives together. We're seeing a few key things. First, that multiple, diverse, even opposing ideas can actually peacefully, beautifully coexist. And by visualizing these ideas in real time using AI this way, we almost instantly appreciate each other differently. We amplify empathy. What I want to share with you now are some examples from real conversations and the unique AI art that was generated in real time based on the diverse perspectives. I told you before that this journey began when I made the decision to move back home. But what I didn't tell you before is that I made that decision because my father had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And so one of the first topics that we ever decided to dive into during our beta testing was one that was personally, profoundly important to me, and that was the topic of memory. What you see here is a piece of art that was generated in real time during a conversation about memory with people from all over. What we found is that memory is like any topic that we might dive into, rich with multiple perspectives for how we might perceive it. Some of the people in this conversation saw memory as a collection of the past, rich with lessons and wisdom. Others saw it as a way to make meaning on our shared journeys. And still others, like my experience, saw it as something more fleeting, like it was slipping away. What was so profound for me in this conversation was not just that I could see myself, my experience, and that of my families reflected in this one piece of art, but that I instantly shifted in how I interacted with my father. Because I suddenly had new insight, new empathy for what he was dealing with, how he was feeling, and what he was losing. And it made me all the more convicted that I wanted other people to experience that level of understanding and empathy in their lives and what was important to them as well. We've realized that we will always have differing opinions, different perspectives, based on our lived experience. But when we use the tools available to us, we can also always make connections. And here's what we've also found. In our attempt to understand a topic, any topic, people often have to examine everything that topic isn't in order to have deep insights. Here's what I mean. When we gathered people together to talk about peace, they also needed to talk about turmoil. Here is a piece of art that was generated in real time during a conversation about peace, with both representations of turmoil and tranquility emerging in the art together. For the people in this conversation, it held power like they hadn't experienced before. See, it's one thing to have a conversation and experience and hear another person's perspective, but to see that perspective come to life in the symbolism that means something uniquely important to that person, layered in the moment with the other perspectives around the table, it adds a dimension that touches hearts, builds connection, and deepens understanding. We can do this with any topic. But the one that I want to share with you now is a topic that you may not give everyday credence to, but the way that we view it in our lives and businesses can impact so much. The topic here is time. When people gathered together to discuss time, they initially thought of it as just a simple measurement. But what we found is that our perceptions of it are actually remarkably complex. That time is both a gift and a challenge. That it can be manipulated and a motivator all at once. And it can be limiting and liberating all at once. Every unique piece we create this way goes beyond the polarities and instead embodies the multarities in a conversation. And that is where the bridge building happens. Because just like Harvard and every kindergarten teacher on the planet know, when we make thinking visible, it will make impact. So whether we discuss the topics that most divide us as humans, or just seemingly benign topics that are part of everyday living, it becomes clear. There are many valid ways to look at anything, and they can all be true and right together. As one participant marveled, this experience opened my eyes to the nuances in everyday topics. I feel a deeper understanding and connection with others. That is empathy. And this tool, AI, can help us build it quicker and in ways we haven't been able to so far. So I ask you now to think about a conversation you have had when people walked away with differing opinions, were not feeling heard. Think of the key words that were shared in that conversation. When you go home tonight, type those keywords into the AI engine of your choice and give it the command, generate an image, and see what it gives you. And for perhaps the first time in your lives, your perspectives, however different they may be, don't divide, but can combine and enrich each other. Think of the potential for education, for business, for politics, or any system that requires collaboration, team building, decision making, or deeper understanding. Our world needs understanding and empathy now more than ever. The good news is we have never been better poised to build it. Thank you.